cool.
Thanks, George.
No worries. Thank you, Adam. And hope everybody's enjoying the event. Shashank should be coming in soon. I'll be gone now.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Shashank. Yes, so welcome our next speaker, Shashank, and from Codugh. And so, yeah, take this. The stage is yours. I'm really looking forward to it. And just to mention, I'll be coming back on for a quick Q&A with you, which so we can learn more. All right, take it away.
That sounds great. Let me just share my screen here. Yep, excellent. Do you guys all see that? Let me just hop on, make sure that looks okay. One sec, sorry guys. Yep, okay, excellent. Thanks, George. Make sure that looks okay. Yep, I see that there. And okay, cool. Well, good afternoon and good morning, everyone. It's really good to depending on where you are in APAC. It's really good to be here at the APAC meetup, and I look forward to chatting to all of you in the networking sessions afterwards. I see some familiar faces in the chat and some new ones as well. So it's really good to see that mix. So I'm here today to talk to you about Codugh, which is the on-demand API marketplace. Before I jump in, let me quickly introduce myself. So my name is Shashank Singhal, and I'm one of the co-founders at Codugh. A bit about my background: I've worked as both a product manager and as a developer for several years. I became interested in Bitcoin around 2016, but I never built anything on Bitcoin until early 2019, after the birth of BSV. Now, this was because the unique properties of BSV being, massive blocks, huge scaling, microtransactions, obviously, and a dedication to a stable protocol really appealed to me. And they really got the business ideas flowing off the bat. So that's when I started building on BSV and got the ball rolling there. Now, before I jump into my talk, let me quickly cover what Codugh is and what we do for those of you who don't know. So Codugh is an API marketplace powered by BSV. Now, I understand some of the audience here today is non-technical, so let me quickly explain what an API is. So API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's essentially an interface through which an application can speak to another application. So let me give you a quick example of that. Let's take What's on Chain. So I hope many of you are familiar with the block explorer What's on Chain. You can put an address or transaction ID or similar things to that, and it will check the blockchain and return you data about your address, such as your balance and about your transaction, if that's the route you went for. So an API is essentially the same thing, but for a program. So What's on Chain also offers an API. And as a developer, if I want to check the address of the balance in a wallet address, then I can use What's on Chain's API to do that. And my program can simply send a call to What's on Chain, and then What's on Chain can check the blockchain. It will add up all the spent transactions and spit them back out, send me the balance. And all I have to do is just ask them for that instead of having to do all that work myself. So that's essentially what an API is. And what Codugh does is it allows a usage of APIs. So people can list their APIs on Codugh, and the usage is billed per API call with instant payment. So each time I ask What's on Chain for that address, for example, I would be charged a microtransaction, depending on how much they value that a single call of that API. Now, this means that developers can monetize their code by creating APIs and receiving money per call. This means that application developers can build better applications with more functionality for a fraction of the cost. Now, APIs have traditionally been offered for free. This is because there's no good way to monetize APIs currently. Existing methods often involve monthly subscriptions, which involve big overhead and early commitment from API consumers and application developers, which has caused a lot of friction and a lot of and lack of uptake in API monetization in the past. So thanks to BSV, this allows us to pay our users per call in a microtransaction, which means that they only pay for what they use when they use it. So last time you heard from us was in London. So let me give you a quick update on what we've been doing since then. So we've been alpha testing on our platform. So this has involved testing out our features, listing things on our platform, getting people involved, and making sure that we're building the right thing in the right direction. We've collected a lot of valuable user feedback because of that, which we've used to iterate our platform and improve upon the small UX features, and so that when the platform is launched, it will be perfectly usable for the people. And we've been securing our platform, so that's fixing up any bugs and potential security flaws involved. There's some more things that we've been doing since then. So I'm super excited to announce from our end here today our agreement between Codugh and Tal. Now, we're really excited about the impact Codugh can make on the BSV ecosystem and the wider world by itself, but working alongside Tal allows us to make a much bigger splash and much sooner with the help of their resources and our partnership. Now, as part of this agreement, Tal has taken an equity stake in Codugh, and furthermore, Tal will be monetizing part of their merchant API offering on Codugh. So as Tal builds out that feature, you'll start to see some of those things on the Codugh platform, and that's where you'll be able to use them by paying microtransactions per call. So as this shows, Codugh provides seamless integration with existing APIs and allows you to monetize them. So this allows businesses and developers to extract value where previously it's not been found. So if you're a business or a developer with an existing set of APIs, I strongly recommend you look into this because you can easily find value and it integrates with just a few steps. So I've talked a lot about Codugh, but let me jump into it and show you guys exactly how it works. So here's an example of the Codugh dashboard. And let me jump into available APIs. So as you can see, I've just listed a simple one here, and let me create one for you. So what I'm going to be using for this example is a polynym API. So for those of you who don't know polynym, it was developed by the BitPing team, formerly known as Uptime SV. And essentially what it does is it takes a hand cache handle, a relay handle, or a paymail address as a parameter in the API. And then what it does is it returns the corresponding BSV address to that payment handle. So obviously, as an application, I can't just send money easily to a hand cache handle, right? So I need a way to convert that to a BSV address. Then I can send money to that BSV address, and it will show up in your hand cache. So let me set the value there to. So what I'm setting it there is to 1/6 of a cent. So it's a microtransaction, a very small amount of money. Let me grab the endpoint here, and I have to make it dynamic. So because I have to be able to put it in my handle as part of that path. So now if I jump into here, it will show me how to use it. So quite simply, this is the gateway to Codugh. So the gateway essentially reroutes your request. So it'll go through Codugh, it'll bill you and authenticate you, and then it will reroute your request to the API that you requested, which is in this case is the polynym API. So for this example, I'm going to be using Postman to show you guys how it works. For those of you who don't know what Postman is, it's essentially a tool that allows you to debug and quickly test APIs, which makes it much easier for me to show you in this example rather than trying to run it through a program, which is clunky and problematic for a live demonstration. So this shows you sort of what the simple instruction, what you need to do. You can fill out more complex ones for if you're really listing an API on the platform. But for simplicity's sake, for now, I will just run through it. So I need these headers as part of my request. What these do is they authenticate me to Codugh. So when I'm calling this API here, Codugh knows through my ID and through my secret who I am and who to bill for this request. So now when I send through this request, you can see, there we go. So I've got a successful API call. I've been charged a very small amount of BSV, and this is the address it returns. So this is the corresponding address to this handle, to this hand cache handle here. So if you called polynym directly, it would send you just this part, just this address and this handle. But then we've sort of added to that through Codugh. So hopefully that's simple enough. Let me show you one more example. So if I jump back into my APIs, you can now see it's been called one time, and you can see that you've earned 1/6 of a cent. So that'll add on as more and more people call it. So let me show you one more example. And what I'm going to show you is the What's on Chain Explorer API. The reason why I'm doing this is one spot. Is because it's a very simple post request. Get Explorer links. So it's called Get Explorer links, but it's a post request that essentially returns whether the string that you attach to it is an address or a transaction ID, so it tells you what kind of address it is, and then it gives you a What's on Chain link that connects you to the What's on Chain front end, so you can easily understand it. So let me just write What's on Chain team as part of this. So yep, I've explained the description. So I won't bother listing it out. Let me just say returns links. And let me type that. And I'll make it a post request. And there's my thing. So obviously, this would usually be dynamic, but I'm just using the mainnet. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Excellent. So it showed up here. So let me jump into it. And so these are the same headers to identify me within the platform, which I've already listed in the API. So what I need to change is this here. So now essentially what I'm doing again is sending another request to what's on chain instead, and it's going through Codugh first to verify it. Now this documentation is available in what's on chain on how to call this properly. I didn't write it out just then when listing the API, but essentially what you have to do is you have to just write a query, and you have to put in an address or a TXID or something in this format. So I'm just going to use the address that I got here in my previous response from Polynym as part of that query handle. And let's make it look a little bit nicer. There we go. And now I'm going to send this request through. There we go. So as we can see, I've gotten a successful response again from what's on chain. So we can see it's a type of address. So the string I've put in here is telling me it's an address, and it's telling me the front end. So this is exactly what the what's on chain API would return if called directly, but I've been billed for it through the BSV platform. So now if I jump back here, you can see again it's been called another time, and I've been billed another 1/6 of a cent. Yeah, excellent. So let me jump back through to here. Cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope it wasn't too complex. And I'm happy to answer any questions in the chat a bit later, and of course in the networking sessions afterwards. Now let me put this down. Now I have one final announcement for you guys today, and I'm thrilled about this one. And what I'm announcing to you is the release of our closed beta product. And that will be on July 5th. So we'll be releasing a closed beta to our waitlist on the 5th of July. And if you're a business, a developer, an aspiring developer, and you're not yet on our waitlist, please sign up at www.codugh.com and be part of our waitlist. And that way you can be part of our closed beta program. We'd really love to have you. Great, so that segues well into my Q&A session with Adam, who's on screen now. So yeah,
there we go. That was great. Thanks so much, and congratulations on your partnership for Codugh. Codugh, sorry, I did it again. I'm going to make
it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Codugh. And yeah, congratulations on the partnership with Tal. So we can have a quick chat about this as well. And yeah, I really appreciate you sharing your solution, and also how you simplified it for the audience that's not so au fait with BSV, which is in case the audience doesn't know, Bitcoin SV. So that's really great to hear. So would you be able to share with the audience how your Tal partnership came about, and what Tal is and what they do, and how you foresee this is going to really help your solution and your product and company scale and help the users as well?
Yeah, of course. So Tal, for those of you who don't know, is a miner within the Bitcoin SV ecosystem, and they're pioneering sort of a new system of mining, which they call transaction processing. And essentially that feeds fees into the system. So traditionally miners within Bitcoin SV and all types of Bitcoin are rewarded through block rewards primarily. But block rewards are halved every few years. So Tal is trying to make it so that soon, over the next few years, the majority of their income comes through fees rather than block rewards, which is a more sustainable long-term model. So how our deal came out, Tal actually approached us because they understood that our offering sort of fit into their vision. And after a bit of discussion with them, we came to this agreement to that I mentioned earlier. And how it will enhance our product, we'll have Tal APIs on our product, of course, which will a lot of them will be sort of very useful to the BSV ecosystem and developers when needing to call certain features on the merchant API as it comes out. And yeah, like hopefully it adds a lot of confidence for businesses and enterprises on our platform, knowing that there's already one there using it.
Excellent. Now that's great. So yeah, they approached you, so you must be on the radar there, and it's great. What would you recommend, if anything, to other sort of BSV developers or companies that would perhaps want or need some investment, for companies like, for example, Tal or other companies like that can help the partnership to help scale?
Yeah, of course. Well, if you're looking for investment within the BSV ecosystem, the best way is just to show you have a product that users want. So that means going out there, talking to users, hopefully getting users. And if you can prove that successfully, you have something that people want, people need, and you have a good team to build it, then the discussions start themselves.
Yeah, excellent. No, that's great way to do it. So with you mentioned the vision the Tile's vision aligns with what your solution is and Codugh. So would you be able to share with the audience what Tile's sort of long-term vision is and how that marries nicely with what you're doing and what Codugh's doing?
Yeah, well, so as I briefly mentioned earlier, so Tile wants to transition more to a transaction fee economy and sort of different revenue streams rather than just block rewards for miners. So that also involves getting revenue fees from application developers. So it's very expensive for miners to do things like crawl the blockchain and find data. So Tile wants to add a price to that. So when they offer their merchant API, it'll sort of certain things within it will be priced because that they're providing value to the application developer by doing this work to find this data. So they want they want to be able to get some reward for that, and that's sort of going to be a long-term solution. The longer the blockchain grows, the more expensive and the more difficult it becomes for miners to provide these services that they've been providing for free in the past.
Right. Okay. Now, excellent. So with the definition of transaction processes, that I know that's being because it's importance of words and for that to help the people who are not quite across BSV or Bitcoin SV. So transaction processes are essentially miners. And where do you foresee how BSV and the transition to transaction processing, alongside Tile? Are you optimistic about the speed of growth in this area, or what do you kind of foresee in the next even 6 months to a year, and then beyond? What do you foresee?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, you can see people like Tile and Mempool already moving to this merchant to API model, and they're already sort of putting out these new offerings where developers talk directly to them and pay fees directly to them, so they can sort of have a better fee-based model. And of those two are the main miners who are sort of pioneering this moving forward. And I'm sure as new miners come into BSV and as old miners see that these people are making way more money by doing this, they'll transition to that model as well. Obviously, I mean, we saw Tile mine a couple of 300 megabyte blocks, and they made over 1 BSV in just fees in those blocks, which is pretty crazy. Based on current trajectory, yeah. So and then going into the long term, it's good to see that they're starting really early. So we're still getting 6.25 BSV, I believe, per block. So there's still a sort of a long way to go before there's no block rewards left. And since they're starting so early, they have several years to build up this economy enough that they have the fee-based economy providing for it. And I'm very confident, based on what I've seen so far, that they will be able to make that transition in time.
Excellent. I'm definitely optimistic about it. And just meeting and specifically yourself, Shashank, and also the speakers before, and even with looking back into and reminiscing the event in CoinGeek London just before COVID happened. Yeah. The people that I'm connecting with and meeting, and just meeting you for the first time as well, it's definitely in safe hands. And I've said it a few times before, is the intelligence and how bright the people are, and just share and simplifying solutions and collaborating with other companies, for example, Tile, and then coming on to and sharing your views and your product with the wider audience, for example, at the at Reboot here in APAC BSV. It's definitely, I'm definitely excited about what's going to happen, because in the short term, 6 months, and even long term, and it's really exciting, because I'm relatively new to this, and I'm learning a lot now, and so I can just see that it's definitely going to scale quite quickly, and it's in good hands. Also briefly, a question that's arisen is, do you have any any plans to build a bigger team, or do you have any sort of growth plans yourself for Codugh?
Yeah, so that's something that we're looking into over the near future. So over the next couple of months, it's just me and my co-founder Andrew. So we've been working on this together since the beginning. So we're just knocking out the product, and then a couple of months from now, we expect to face a couple of hurdles that it will take us time to overcome ourselves, and that's when we'll start looking to hire outside, based depending on our specific needs at the time.
Definitely, and I can see that Tal, the partnership between Tal and yourself and your company it's that you're starting very, very early, so you and it sounds as if you're in front, cutting edge, bleeding edge, in front of the wave before it happens. So it's going to have that advantage, and I can see that it's going to scale quite quickly once it starts to gain traction. And also we're almost up to time. However, just got a last quick question. Are you planning on? Are you going to be at CoinGeek New York?
Yeah, I mean, if permitted. So it's obviously difficult to project that far. I mean, I don't even know if we'll be allowed to leave the country for that purpose at that point by then. So there's
go, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a lot of question marks around there. But hopefully, I do hope to be there. And if possible, I will be.
Awesome. All right. So is there anything else? We just got a minute left before we move on. Have you got anything else you'd like to share with the audience? So I know you shared some great insights and also some announcements. So was there a specific beta closed beta test that you wanted? Did you have a date on that?
Yeah, exactly. So I said that in my announcement earlier. July 5th is the date when we're going to release our closed beta to our waitlist. So you can go onto our site right now and sign up for our waitlist. And that will give you access to a closed beta when we release it on July 5th.
Excellent. So July 5th is the date. And what's the site that people can go to?
www.codugh.com. That's Codugh.
Got it. Perfect. Excellent. Thanks so much for your time, and it's great to meet you. And I really appreciate you sharing your announcements and solutions with us today.
Thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome.